Election day is around the corner.
So may the blessings of Christ be on all our brothers and sisters. Hopefully they see the light. I also apologize.
महाकाल की जय.
Jesus saves. I also apologize. I'm going to be very slow because I'm heavily medicated. I'm not doing very well at the moment. See, I do believe the Republicans are going to sweep both houses come the midterm elections later this month. But that said, I am not particularly optimistic about either California or New Jersey or New York. And I'll tell you why. What we see in ideological states is that people are so desperate they vote for more and more of the same thing. The more desperate you become, the more dependent on handouts you become. Which is why, despite all the American charges of saying that Maduro lost the election, I genuinely believe in Venezuela, Maduro won the election. I genuinely believe that, the government-appointed clerics in Iran actually win the election with minimal cheating. Why? Because the more desperate people get, the more they need to survive on handouts. Right? So it doesn't matter what Venezuela goes through. They will keep voting for, the Chavezistas in that sense. You will see this in America, where the Democrats have, of course, refined, let's not call it election manipulation, let's just call it, how shall we put this politely? Contextualizing the election lists, the list of voters. And propping it up with people who they think will vote for them. Long back, we used to see Republicans do this in a very different kind of way. They knew what the high crime neighborhoods were, and they'd see to it that policemen were always posted outside voting centers, knowing full well that in high crime areas, the police would get deterred. But the Democrats have sort of taken it to the next level. In leaving certain names out, adding certain names, ensuring that a certain kind of immigration happens into certain areas, etc., etc., etc. I don't think there is a way back for New York, New Jersey, all these essentially uniparty blue states, because remember, a dictatorship does not exactly happen by military coups. The system is irretrievably broken before a full-scale electoral capture happens in that sense. This is what anthropology teaches us. So I'm quite convinced that, New York has a long history up until recently of voting for Democrat senators but Republican governors, because they wanted to inflict socialism on the rest of the country, but they wanted the benefits of capitalism for themselves. At least New York City did. And this seems to be a recurrent trend, except I think both now will be Democrat. So I do believe the Republicans will take over both the House and the Senate. But I do not hold out much hope for the states as such. Do we see a higher voting percentage and seat gains for Republicans in New York and California? Sure. But once, there's been an ideological space capture, it's impossible to reverse it, in my opinion.
My question was slightly different. I said, assuming the House and the Senate goes to the Republicans, how would it impact the global scenario, especially the Ukraine war?
Well, the first thing is that, they will not focus on all these, contrived committees, the January 6th committee, Russiagate committee and all of that. By the way, whatever happened to Russiagate? Everybody's moved on to January 6th. Nobody wants to talk to Russiagate. Nobody's issued an apology for Russiagate or anything like that. I think all these committees will end, number one. The ending of those committees means, because remember what the Democrats were using those committees for was to divert attention from the foreign policy failures of Biden. And the problem is, we have never seen such an inept and completely out of control president than Biden. Because under him, all the different silos of the Democratic Party, each one is running an independent foreign policy. The wokes have gone crazy. The interest groups have gone crazy. More than the wokes going crazy, I think it's the interest groups that have gone crazy. So one is interested in alienating Saudi Arabia. The second guy is interested in alienating Iran. The third guy is interested in alienating Russia. The fourth guy is interested in alienating China, whereas the first three groups are probably in the pay of China. So what ends up happening out here is, we've never seen America systematically alienate so many people all at the same time. If you remember Indira Gandhi's comment after losing the 77 election, after the emergency, when somebody asked her what went wrong, she said, we alienated all the people at the same time. You never alienate all the people at the same time. Here, Saudi Arabia and Iran can't stand each other. The one thing that they agree on is that America is the great Satan at the moment. And Saudi Arabia was one of your closest allies. The UAE was one of your closest allies. And the Saudis have explained why they need to increase the price of oil. Okay. What was that reason? See, the Emirates, they diversified into a human economy long before. They used the oil profits to create, economies of scale in manufacturing. They have a fantastic low interest, fantastic regulatory environment, low tax, no tax environment, where companies love to come up and set up manufacturing and whatnot out there, high-tech manufacturing and things like that. And they have extremely good human capital. Saudi Arabia did not do that. It is the first time that, remember, till even today, the king is a son of the founder of the third Saudi state. He is the son of the original Ibn Saud. MBS is the first generational break, and he understands that he needs to diversify the economy away from oil, and to diversify the economy, you need money. You start off with infrastructure. First, he's fixed the regulatory issues. He's fixed the sort of all Saudi women wanted initially was the right to drive. He's given them more than the right to drive. He's given them the right to take off the hijab. They're coming on TV. They're making some fantastic programs and things like that now. What you see is a state which should have, now that its reform path should have been completely in alignment with American values, is being punished for having an economic vision that sets it free from oil. So imagine Saudi Arabia is doing exactly what Europe has been preaching to the world. You need to go green. Okay, we're going green. We're not going to depend on oil. We're going to try all these different things. NEOM has a significant solar footprint. They want to harness solar energy. Great. Diversify, invest in human beings, diversify from commodities. Great. That is what Saudi Arabia is doing. Greater civil rights and things like that. These are the beginnings of civil rights. Personal liberties are the beginnings of civil rights. They're literally doing everything in terms of value. And America is turning its back on value-based foreign policy. For what? For Ukraine. A little shithole in the middle of nowhere with absolutely no strategic or economic value to anybody around it, except for Russia. Okay, so you cannot have this kind of a policy in Iran. Now you want to screw over the Emirates and you want to screw over Saudis. Remember, the Republicans still have, in many ways, it was President Trump that gave the protection to MBS to foster this entire culture of diversification and things like that. Remember, it was President Trump that went on telling Germany, boss, you're too dependent on Russia, you need to diversify now. And they all made fun of him then. And today, where has that landed Europe? So in many ways, it was Trump and the Republicans that provided the room for genuine values-based alignment between Saudi Arabia and America, which is now affecting the Democrats because they do not actually support value-based foreign policy. They want the Saudis to democratically do what they're dictated to do by Washington, in spite of the fact that they're doing exactly what the Americans want the Saudis to do. They just don't want it to happen now, and internal reforms and the entire people and interests of Saudi Arabia have to subjugate it to American interests in Ukraine. And then America tells you it doesn't want, Democrats tell you they don't want to control anyone. It is in fact the Republicans who don't want to control. Democrats want to exercise control completely on everybody and everything. In America, they do socialism to control people's minds, to reduce them to penury and keep them dependent on the state. It is the mindset of a drug dealer. It is the Democrats have that exact mindset of a methamphetamine dealer, of a crystal dealer. Okay, Iran. Now, you can use Iran against Saudi Arabia if it's gotten to this stage? No. Because there are protests happening, and mind you, these are only elite protests. These are not the protests that happened in 2014, 15, 16, I forget exactly when, were much more. Sorry, I just need to take a sip. Were in fact much more broad-based because they were against the complete system. This is as relevant, these protests are as relevant as JNU protests are to Indian polity. But you want to support that and sink your ties with Iran. Israel is now lost because Netanyahu will, remember, it was Biden coming to power who engineered this entire coalition to bring Netanyahu down. He made all the calls, well, not him, but the Democrats made all the calls saying, yeah, you can be right wing, but you can't take Netanyahu on board. So and now everybody expected a hung parliament. Now we know out of 120 seats in the Knesset, Netanyahu's bloc is 165, absolute majority. Right? So Israel is gone, Saudi Arabia is gone, the Emirates are gone. The previous government of Yair Lapid was tweeting things against Russia. Netanyahu will not tolerate that. He'll want to keep his own options open with this thing. So you've alienated Iran, Emirates, Israel and Saudi Arabia are implacable. Israel and Iran are implacable foes. Saudi Arabia and Iran are implacable foes. You've literally managed to unite their foreign policies. How dumb can you get? The Republicans, I think, a Republican-dominated both houses will impose a very, very significant check on an absentee cadaver of a president. And it will prevent the worst excesses. At least, they need a 2/3 majority to override a presidential decree. I don't think they'll reach a 2/3 majority. But they certainly won't make life as easy for the kind of absolutely shocking dereliction of duty, criminal dereliction of duty, and power cliques, unaccountable, unelected power cliques that have emerged within the Democratic Party that are controlling policy. On Russia and Ukraine, I don't think we will see much change. Because remember, there is a sort of uniparty mindset to what is happening out there. Had Trump, in many ways, Trump kind of exacerbated it by starting arms sales to Ukraine. On the other hand, he would have also probably exercised the threat value of him. He knew how to calibrate threats. Biden is too ideological to, not Biden. I mean, we don't even know. I mean, Biden doesn't even know what his own right hand does. So I don't think he knows what the government does. But
Biden. He's Saint Biden.
I don't know if it is saint. I don't think every person who contracts a mysterious divine affliction attains sainthood. Though he might claim that he is being pilloried and crucified in much the same way as our Lord was pilloried and crucified. I don't think anybody sees a person who supports abortion definitely can't be going beatified or canonized in any way. So he's not Saint Biden. Let's call it Cadaver Biden from the Adams family values. Morticia Adams ki tarah Morticio Biden, who wakes up from a coffin every day. But in Russia, there is a sort of uniparty thinking on Russia, which I don't think will change. But I think in terms of the Middle East policy, there will be significant changes. I think there will be a significant movement towards restricting the money that goes unaccounted to Ukraine. But even there, remember, the Democrats have the Republicans on the back foot because they can just keep hurling Russia accusations at them and put them on the back foot, like they did during the Trump presidency. Nothing proven. No Washington Post, New York Times has ever retracted a story or apologized.
While President Biden and I are working hard to lower costs and deliver for the American people,